in Hindu architecture, iconography sculptures are very important. That is why when they started this started work on the Ayodhya Ram Temple, I used to write a lot on it on Twitter. That sculptures are very important because through the sculptures we speak of the various Puranic tales. So when you're going around a temple, if you go to this beautiful South Indian temples, Brihadashwara temple, for example, if you go around and you'll find that in the main niches it's a Lord Shiva temple. So you will find various aspects of Lord Shiva in the various niches, and each one is attached to a story. So when you're going around, and in the olden days, what used to happen is that when these people are going around, there used to be someone with them, a priest most likely, who would take them around pradakshina. You're going around, you're going around, and the priest that is taking around, he would explain each of the stories. That's how this common people, the general masses, remain connected to Hinduism, because through the priest, through these sculptures that you're seeing in the temple, they would learn about the Puranic stories, they would learn about the various stories in the epics, Mahabharata, Ramayana. How would these people know? These village people, most of them were illiterate at that time. They could not read the Sanskrit books. So how did they know the stories? Through the sculptures. So the sculptures are an integral part of our temple architecture. Without these sculptures, I don't know, somehow our Hindu temples are not what it should be, because if the sculptures are not there. So I also write a lot on it. Even if, even in the modern era buildings, when the temples are built, even if it's a small temple, draw pictures, do paintings. Let the common people know the stories behind those paintings. That is how you remain connected to your religion, your culture. If this connection is not there, what will happen? You will have conversions. This is what has happened. I have been to the remote areas of Telangana. I have seen entire villages converted, because you know what used to happen in the earlier days? There used to be this bards, Katha. We used to say the stories. They used to take the scrolls with them. They used to go to this very remote villages, and they used to tell the stories. What were the stories? Puranic stories, Ramayana, Mahabharata stories. These poor village people who had never studied Sanskrit, these books. How they used to know the stories? This people who this bards used to sing and dance and tell them the stories of Mahabharata, of the Puranic stories. That's how they remain connected. Once these bards stopped going, for various reasons, somehow we lost this cultural connect. This bar stopped going to these remote villages, they got cut off from Hinduism. The missionaries went, entire villages have converted. Sculptures on temples is a very important way of staying in connection, because once you see the sculpture, you will feel curious. What story is this? You see Shiva burning someone, you will ask, who is he burning? And then the priest will say that this is Kamdeva who got burned. Then the story will come. How Kamdeva got burned. Then there will be associated stories which will come up. There are associated figures with Shiva. There is one beautiful story of Shiva and Kali doing a dance competition, very beautifully represented in sculptures in Brihadashwara temple in Thanjavur. People who do not know the story will ask about the story, and then they will know that once Devi Kali and Lord Shiva had a dancing competition. How many of you all know the story? I don't know. But there is a very beautiful story of them competing, and Shiva could not beat Devi Kali. He was losing the game. So what he did, he put one leg up, Urdhava Tandava. He started dancing with his leg up. Kali, being a lady, a woman, she could not do it. She lost it. She said, I'm losing, I cannot lift my legs. It's not a woman, it goes against the woman's dignity, so I will not lift my legs. She lost the dance competition. And this story is represented through sculptures. So the sculptures are very important part of our Hindu temple, because we get the stories from there. And as an iconography, I will I'll take up one part, which is the Mithuna sculptures. I think nothing is more abused than this Mithuna sculptures. You will constantly find people mocking them without understanding the meaning behind it. This Mithuna sculpture once again depicts moksha. It has nothing to do with karma or physical pleasure or anything. It denotes the bliss of union. So whenever you see moksha, whenever you see the Mithuna sculptures, you know that pleasure that it is depicting has nothing to do with karma. It has everything to do with moksha, the pleasure, the ultimate bliss you will get once you finish your cycle of lives and deaths, and you enter into a final union with your whatever god you believe in, Shiva, Devi, Vishnu, the supreme, which we call in Vedas the supreme consciousness. Once you unite, that is the ultimate. Hinduism is all about moksha. Hinduism is rest, everything is transient. You're moving from one life to another, life, death, cycle, everything is related to moksha. Ultimate aim is you will unite with your revered god, whichever god you believe in. And that when that moment will come, that feeling of pleasure, that feeling of happiness is what is expressed in those Mithuna sculptures. That bliss, moment of bliss, which people think that it is showing some distorted physical relationships, distorted sex, is nothing to do with sex. It is the ultimate union which you will feel when you meet with your god. So, iconography is not an easy subject. It's a little complex to understand. There are various meaning. Each one has a different meaning. Shiva sitting with various postures. Each posture has a meaning. The dresses and ornaments tell us the story of those times. The gods, the dresses that gods are wearing was what people used to wear at the time. So you get a social picture of those days back. It's also a documentation of the social history of those times. It is a documentation of political history because you will find war sculptures there, people fighting elephants. Uh, there are lots of in Kakatiya temples. There are actually Gajathara. Gajathara is a series of elephants. There are also war scenes depicted, and you will find the fighting scenes. So it's a political scenario that they have been through fights. Then, of course, dresses, fashion, hair ornaments, and something very interesting. I had in my blog, I had written on it the various hair accessories. So fashionable thing, it keeps on coming back. Even now, you're wearing some of the jewelries you find you're wearing was what the Harappan people used to wear. You will find many such designs which you wear now in the temple sculptures. So basically, it is a beautiful document. Our temples are documentation of history, political history, social history, religious history. Everything is documented there. If you go to the Kailash temple in Maharashtra, Elora, entire Mahabharata and Ramayana is sculpted. So it is a religious documentation over there.